Morning, everybody. Today is Monday, April 13th, and we've got 10 Major League Baseball games on the board to discuss. And without any further ado, let's get right into it. So, game number one on the board for us today takes place in Seattle at T-Mobile Park. Let's pull up the pitching matchups for y'all today. How's everybody doing today on this beautiful Monday morning? Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Glad that you're back. Glad to be back, and glad to talk some baseball. Something that I love to do. Love this sport. And so we got the matchup here for you. It's going to be Mike Burrows for the Astros going up against George Kirby for the Seattle Mariners. Overall, George Kirby is a better pitcher than Mike Burrows. We can dig deeper into the numbers for Mike Burrows. We know that George Kirby at home is a very, very good starting pitcher. Mike Burrows, for his career, a 4.14 ERA, a 1.32 whip. Pretty average, I would say. Just looking at his splits from last year when he had to go on the road is what I like to do. He was a little bit worse on the road last year. The ERA creeped up to 4.2. The whip creeped up to 1.35. And he's struggling this year early on. We can pull up the game logs here quickly. He got destroyed by the Angels. 6 innings, 5 runs allowed, 9 hits, 2 walks. Against Boston, he actually pitched pretty well against Boston. And then against Colorado, he was serviceable, but in just under 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 8 hits. Not exactly what you want against the Rockies. So in this spot on the road against the Mariners, I think it's going to be difficult for him. And I think that the Mariners offense is going to be able to get some runs on Mike Burrows. When it comes to the offenses, and we want to compare the two, I do want to give the Astros their flowers. They've been one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball this season. The OPS is up there at 823. That is very impressive. They've been really good on the road. But they are now 1-8 in their last 9 games. And they're 1-8 on the road this year. They've lost 7 games in a row. This team is sliding. And they've really struggled on the road. At home, they were pretty good. Away from home, they have been horrible. And that's not an understatement. That's just being honest about it. Another thing we have to mention is that Seattle's bullpen has been lights out this year. They've been one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball. From start to finish, from the beginning of the year, I always had them rated very high. I love their bullpen. Looking back at it from last year's playoff run, you got Munoz closing it out, and then you got Spire, Brash, Bizzardo. They have, the list goes on and on. We can just pull it up because I don't want to leave any guys out. But, it's a very impressive bullpen. And the point of this is to say that they have a much better bullpen than the Houston Astros. So overall, I'm leaning towards the Seattle Mariners side. They got Jose Ferrer back there as well. He's going to help out. I like their bullpen a lot. And so, bottom line, Mariners have the better starting pitcher. George Kirby at home turns into a different guy. I want to pull up some numbers here so we can put some numbers to the conversation here for Kirby. At home last year, Kirby was very dominant. 67 innings pitched, a 3.38 ERA, and a 1.11 whip, compared to when he was on the road last year, a 5.16 ERA, excuse me, and a 1.28 whip. So George Kirby much better at home. I think he pitches well in this game. I think Burrows struggles. And I didn't want to lay the juice or the -1.5 by itself. So what I did, if you look at my graphic on my Instagram at Cole Mirza, you'll see that I took the -1.5 for the Mariners for 0.3 units. And then I also took the Mariners money line at -169 for 0.7 units. So I split my full unit with about 70% going to the Mariners money line at -169, and then I split. Then I put 0.3 units on the Mariners to cover the spread, -1.5 at +120. So when you add them together, if the Mariners win by 1, then it's basically, then I win $2, or I win $5. If the Mariners win by 1, I win $5. If the Mariners win by 2, I win both bets. And the only way that I lose is if the Mariners lose this game at home, which I don't expect to happen, but it's possible. This is baseball. There's a lot of variance in this game. It's a long season. But that's how I see that first game playing out. I didn't trust going to an under because I can't trust Houston's bullpen and I can't trust Mike Burrows. So I'd rather just back the Mariners here, basically on a -1 is what I built pretty much. All right, moving on. Second game on the board for us today. Let's pull it up. Diamondbacks at the Orioles. Ryan Nelson for the Diamondbacks. And then the expected pitcher for the Orioles is Dean Kramer. But that has not been confirmed yet. So I'll just be honest right here. I'll just be straightforward. I did not bet this game. There was a lot of uncertainty based off the starting pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. I saw in some places that Trevor Rogers was going to start. I saw in other places that Dean Kramer was going to start. And I do think it's going to be Dean Kramer from what I've seen. You know, if it's Kramer versus Nelson, they're pretty much the same guy. They're very similar. If it's if it's Nelson versus Rogers, then obviously Rogers has the advantage. So a lot of uncertainty. When you compare the two offenses, I'd probably say they're about equal, maybe a slight edge to Baltimore because they're at home. And then you compare the two bullpens, and again, same thing. Slight edge to Baltimore because they're at home. Not enough of an edge to bet that game at the price. And I don't trust a total in that game. I mean, we just don't know. It's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know who the pitcher is going to be. So that's kind of a problem. So I just didn't bet that game. I mean, it's probably going to be Dean Kramer, but it's not confirmed yet. So I'd rather not mess around with it. We'll just move on. All right, Nationals Pirates. This is a fun one. It's Skeens Day in Pittsburgh. Hopefully that ballpark gets filled up tonight. You got Cade Cavalli for the Nationals, their ace, up against the ace for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Paul Skeens. And I do have a bet in this game. At first, when I looked at it, I passed. And I've actually said this earlier this year. I've said that these prices for Paul Skeens games are getting a bit ridiculous. You got a guy at -200 here in the Pirates. I wasn't a believer in the Pirates at the beginning of this year, and I still haven't fully bought in. But I got to admit, what they've done in the first 2 weeks of the season is extremely impressive. They're in first place. They are 9 wins, 6 losses. The offense looks way better. The offense looks so much improved. They're finally scoring runs. They're finally hitting the ball. And I think if everybody stays healthy, this Pirates team could make a run to the playoffs. And that would be great for the city of Pittsburgh. They need it. They've been hungry for it. They've been waiting for it. And if they want any chance to keep Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh long term, they're going to have to make some deep postseason noise this year, next year, and so on and so forth. So, anyways, this is a fun game. At first, I couldn't find anything. I mean, the Nationals offense is on fire, okay? So we got to say that for what it is. They've been one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball this year, which is pretty ridiculous. I don't think most people didn't expect that. I certainly did not expect that. But their offense is up there, a total OPS of 771. Away from home, they've got a team OPS of 774. I mean, they are crushing the baseball right now. I think with Paul Skeens up there, he probably goes 6 innings, gives up maybe 2 runs at most. I think that's probably what you're going to get out of Paul Skeens. And then we got to look to the Cade Cavalli side. And Cade Cavalli, the numbers at surface value look really good. I mean, we look at the game logs for this year. He struggled against the Cubs on opening day, pitched really well at Philadelphia, pitched a gem there, giving up 1 run in 6 innings. And then he pitched pretty well against the Cardinals. The walks kind of came back to bite him, but just under 5 innings, 1 earned run allowed, but he did walk 4 batters. So that's a problem there. The walks can creep up on Cade Cavalli pretty easily. And this is where I found my edge in this game. Cade Cavalli on the road last year was not good. We'll just put it like that. He struggled mightily. So Cade Cavalli at home last year, 5 starts. I know it's a small sample size. He had 5 starts at each situation. 5 starts at home, 5 starts on the road. So it's a very small sample size, but at home he was very good. 2.49 ERA, a 1.22 whip. When he went on the road last year, he had a 6.17 ERA and a 1.76 whip. Now, if we go back to 2023, which is when he last pitched before that, there's nothing available. 2022, nothing available. So, so hold on here. Let's see 2023 here if it loads. Yeah, there's nothing available there. 2022, we got like 2 starts worth of sample size. Yeah, there's not much. So really, the big sample size for us is that 2025 season last year. And he struggled badly on the road. So I think this much improved Pittsburgh offense can get to him. I think they're going to score runs, and I think it's going to be really hard for the Nationals to score runs on Paul Skeens. This Pirates offense with a team OPS this year of 702, that's a huge improvement from last year. We can just go look at last year, what it was quickly. Last year it was 655, so almost a 50-point improvement in the OPS. That's going to make a huge difference, and we've already seen it. That's why they're 3 games over 500, and that's why they're in first place in the National League Central. So, Cavalli struggles on the road. Paul Skeens should shove. The Pirates offense is much improved. And the Pirates bullpen, we got to mention this, they've been really good this year so far. They have been holding their own. They've been really solid. And if you look at the usage here for the Pirates, just want to make sure everybody's okay to go today. The Pirates, yesterday they only used Lawrence and Urquidy. So all the big dogs should be good to go. Soto, not sure about Santana. He did throw 2 days in a row on the 11th and the 10th, maybe for Santana. And then I think probably everybody else should be good to go. I mean, Matson did throw on the 11th and the 10th. Montgomery also threw on the 11th and the 10th. You've got to think that some of those guys will be available to close the game out. Washington's bullpen, we don't even need to go over the names. They're one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball. They're ranked 28th out of 30 teams so far this year. And then last year, the Nationals finished the year ranked 30th out of 30 teams. So they're a bad bullpen. And bottom line, what I've been getting to here is that I think the Pirates are going to win this game, and I think they can win this game pretty comfortably. I got the Pirates money line at minus 215 for 0.8 units. So majority of the players on the Pirates money line, and then putting 0.3 units on the Pirates to cover the spread, minus 1.5 at plus 100 odds. Same thing. We're building a -1 position here, hoping that the Pirates can just win by a margin and we win both bets. And I think there's a good chance of that with Paul Skeens on the mound, facing a guy in Cade Cavalli who really struggles on the road. And these Pirates bats have really gotten going. So, yeah, give me the Pirates there, basically building a synthetic -1, but splitting our unit with the majority of the unit going to the money line and then the rest of it, the small percentage of it, going to the run line. Okay, moving on. Next game up here on the board. Excuse me, just trying to figure out how do I get back to. All right, it's fine. I'll just relook it up. I don't know why that was, but. Sorry about that. Okay. Computer is loading. We're back. Javier Assad against Christopher Sanchez at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. The Cubs and the Phillies open up their series tonight. Big starting pitching advantage for the Phillies. Javier Assad was called up from AAA because of some injuries that the Cubs are dealing with, so that's not a good sign for the Cubs. And Chris Sanchez is dominant at home. I mean, we don't really need to go over the numbers. I think everybody knows it by now. The guy is very good. The Cubs bats have not gotten going. I'm worried about the Cubs bats in this situation on the road in Philly. I think the Philadelphia Phillies have a huge starting pitching advantage. I also think they've got a bullpen advantage too. I like the back end of the Phillies bullpen a lot more than the Cubs bullpen. And we haven't talked about the bats. The Phillies bats at home are better than the Cubs bats in general. So I want to look at the numbers. I don't want to be, too quick here. We can look at the Phillies numbers. They haven't gotten going yet. I mean, they're struggling right now. OPS at 695. I think this is a good spot for them to get going. They hit Javier Assad really well last year. I believe that in Philadelphia they scored 5 runs off of them in 5 innings. That's off my memory though. We can look it up quickly. So Javier Assad in 2025 faced Philadelphia 2 times, I believe. Oh, I'm wrong. All right, it was 2024. So Javier Assad in 2024 faced Philadelphia 2 times. He faced them in September, gave up 8 runs in 4 1/3 innings, giving up 3 home runs. So he got destroyed. We're going back 2 years though, but it's pretty similar Philly lineup. Pretty much the same exact lineup. Not much has changed. It's all the main guys are still there. Phillies have hit him well in the past. Bottom line, Javier Assad is a minor league arm, not really a guy that I expect to, go on the road to Philly and shut them down and kind of keep pace with Christopher Sanchez. So I like the Phillies here. I like them a lot. I think they're overall the better team, and I built a -1 position around the Phillies too. Phillies -1.5 at +115 for a 0.3 units, and then Phillies money line at -180 for the 0.7 units. I think the Phillies are going to win the game. I think the Phillies could win by a margin here. So, yeah, give me the Phillies. Okay, let's take a look at the next game on the board. It is the Angels visiting the Yankees. This is always a series that I have circled on my calendar. It's always fun to see the Angels head to the Bronx and get to play in Yankee Stadium where, a lot of the country is watching. A lot of the country keeps one eye on the Yankees games throughout the year, and I think this is going to put a nice spotlight on the Angels, so let's see how they can perform in this one. It's going to be Yusei Kikuchi against Will Warren, and this is one where the home-road splits are really big for me. Yusei Kikuchi is really, really bad on the road. I mean, we can pull the numbers up so that maybe you guys can understand a little bit better, but Kikuchi last year at home started 16 games, had a 2.93 ERA, and a 1.25 whip. So that's pretty good at Angel Stadium. On the road last year, 17 starts, a 5.04 ERA, that's a pretty big jump, and a 1.60 whip. So the guy really struggles away from home for whatever reason. This is not a friendly environment to be heading into. Yankee Stadium, the Bronx, gonna have to face the Bronx Bombers. I know they haven't gotten going yet. I know the Yankees are struggling right now offensively, but this is a good spot for them to get right against a guy who has really struggled this year. Kikuchi got destroyed by Houston. He got destroyed by the Cubs, and he got destroyed by Atlanta. And now he's going to New York. So this is not good for him. Just going to say it how it is. On the other side, it's Will Warren. And Will Warren, I really like him at home. On the road, it's a completely different story. At home, Will Warren has really good numbers, and we're going to pull those up for you right now. So, last year at home, Will Warren started 16 games. He had a 3.5 ERA and a 1.20 whip. Last year on the road, he started 17 games, had a 5.52 ERA and a 1.57 whip. So it's another huge jump when he heads on the road. At home, he's pretty good. So I give the Yankees a starting pitching edge here, even though at face value, it doesn't look that way. Yankees have a better offense. Okay, I mean, if anyone wants to argue that with me, I'll be here all day. We can argue that all day long. I mean, we can go down the list, we can look at the numbers. I don't really care that much about a 2-week sample size at the beginning of the year. Yeah, the Yankees have a better offense than the Angels. And I'm an Angels fan. Like, I want the Angels to be good, but I'm just being honest here. And we get to the bullpens, and I want to say this about the Angels bullpen: they've performed a lot better than pretty much everybody expected them to. They're probably going to fall back down to earth at some point here. In fact, they already have started doing that, and they're facing up against an elite bullpen. The Yankees are elite in that category. Big mismatch there. So again, we kind of sound like a broken record here, but again, we're going to just back the Yankees on the money line at minus 185 for 0.8 units. And then we're also going to back the Yankees on the run line at minus 1.5 plus 100 odds for 0.3 units, effectively building out a -1 position on the Yankees so that if they win by 1, we pretty much profit slightly. Yeah, that's the goal there. And I just think they have the advantage pretty much everywhere in that game. So that's why we're on the Yankees. Moving on for us, next game to talk about is going to be the Marlins visiting the Braves. Division rivals facing off up there in Atlanta. Yuri Perez for the Marlins, Grant Holmes for the Braves. And again, we're going to go right back to the home-away splits here. Yuri Perez, last year, at home, started 8 games, had a 2.93 ERA and a 1.00 whip. Those numbers are elite. Goes on the road last year, starting 12 games, a 5.33 ERA and a 1.09 whip. So the whip doesn't look bad, but he got hit way more on the road. 11 home runs allowed on the road. I don't know what it is, but something's off with him on the road. And then you look at his starts this year, pitched very well at home against Colorado. And then he went on the road to New York, his one road start this year, and he got absolutely destroyed. Gave up a couple home runs, walked 6 batters, 4 runs allowed in 4 innings. Not good. I do not trust Yuri Perez on the road at all. Grant Holmes on the other side, as a guy I trust at home. Okay? He is a guy that is a grinder. For Grant Holmes last year, in his home ballpark, he started 12 games, had a 2.93 ERA and a 1.20 whip. On the road, a 5.51 ERA and a 1.54 whip. So Grant Holmes is good at home. Holmes is a good pitcher at home. So, Braves, better starting pitcher in this situation when they're at home. Braves, much better offense. I think we can safely say that. Pretty confident in that one. The bullpens are close. Marlins bullpen has been very good. I want to give them credit. They've got some really good guys on the back end there. Pete Fairbanks, Bender, Colin Faucher, the list goes on and on. They got a good bullpen. But the Braves bullpen is also, I think the Braves bullpen might be the best in Major League Baseball this year. They might have taken that away from the Padres. When you have 2 closers at the back end that you can go to in Raisel Iglesias and Robert Suarez, 2 guys that consistently get 40 saves per year, that is dangerous. That is extremely dangerous. I like Kinley. He's off to a good start. Dylan Lee is a good guy to bring out of the pen. Bummer is obviously very reliable. I love their bullpen. I do give them a slight edge just because of the 2 back end guys, Iglesias and Suarez, for me over Miami. And so I think Atlanta is the bet here. I think Atlanta's got the better starting pitcher. I think they got the better bullpen. I think they got the better offense. Give me the Braves money line, -140 for 1.1 units at home today. They should be able to get this win. Moving on. Let's move on to our next game to discuss here on the board. Red Sox Twins. I passed on this game, didn't really like it. Garrett Crochet against Bailey Obear. I think Crochet is in a position here where he can pitch extremely well against the Minnesota Twins.